Welcome back to Satisfactory. So when we left, I had just recovered from several server crashes here. And what I left us with was our layout up here in the pure iron hair area with 4 instances of a Mark II miner on a pure iron node feeding into smelters, and 2 instances of a miner mining up limestone feeding into basically that right there. We're near one of them, so you can get that. So 6 of these guys. And they have to be slightly downclocked because they take 45 per minute normally, and we downclock them to 10. And what we have left is what you see in the upper left. We're doing encased industrial pipes. And all we need to do now is take the iron ingots and turn them into iron pipes and then feed those into assemblers. So that's 2 sets of a constructor feeding an assembler. It sounds easy. And I was pondering how we might fit them, and I thought, let's just put it in place and see what happens. I need the constructor feeding one of the inputs of the assembler. Start off by putting my assembler down output to the left, kind of near the middle. I'm thinking we'll get close to the middle. I think I can put 2 assemblers in space. If not, jigger them around until we... these are not going to exactly straddle. I move it half a meter by nudging with a control and that puts them as close to the center line as possible. And this ends up being on a troublesome boundary. But that's okay. We're going to nudge these into place anyway, but it means everything is troublesome, so let's not do that. Don't need to compress it that much. I'm going to bring it out one more. Put our right input in this line just for reference. Just makes it easier for me to set them up. Now, if I do it that way, that means the other constructor I can set up along this line. I could easily have put him anywhere. Since this guy is just feeding that guy, there is no reason for the belt from here to here down. We are building iron pipe. We're going to be turning out 25 per minute and taking 100 per minute. This guy is doing encased industrial pipe. Needs 24 per minute. 25 per minute. So our target rate. Now we probably won't be driving these machines at full. But let's set this guy up so he just runs flat out. And when he fills up his outputs, he will just kind of pause when necessary. Up there. Same thing over here. Copy our settings over. He needs 25 pipe. 24. This guy does 25 output. Notice I'm trying to avoid overclocking. Because as I mentioned, I think power slugs are not responding. So there's a fixed number of them in the So unless we work out a way to make power shards that doesn't involve finding the power slugs, which admittedly is easy since they glow in the dark. So we have an input that goes to these two, and so really the inputs come in from the sides. I would much prefer, let's see, if I'm going to stack, let's say I stack this on top of the, instead of out front. There's that plate on top. I could just stack it on top. It's kind of temporary. I will use this until I have a better way of doing EIBs, or until I need shift to using encased steel beams instead of encased iron pipes. So I will put it on top of the smelters, which means it's the front right. So our iron is going to come in here. Ladder out here so I can stop with the whole running and jumping and missing thing. So that comes in, and that can feed those two, and these two you can come in over there. Okay. We do that. Yes, that is open. We have two of these limestone concrete plants. Well, you need to take the output of each plant, send it to two of them. So this one would feed those two. Far one over there works. Now I just holes in for input outputs. Oh, and our output, if the input from here snakes around and hits these two, outputs can come back through here and squirrel around and come out in the middle somewhere. Outputs really need to go somewhere where they do a box. And I would like to take all four of these and merge them. I don't want to be building four. Oh, wait a minute. What about this? If I build 4 depots, that means that our peak upload rate is 120 per burst rate. Now, it isn't very deep because it'll just be how much ever we've got here. To do that, I need more space here. One more. And, okay, so we can't just take the whole thing and shift it down. We would have to do something fun. Like take the outputs and pull them back here. Yes, I've got it now. I'm going to put in a, not an industrial storage, but regular storage container. Just like that. And I'll put the quantum uploader, depot uploader on top of it, facing the other. Which means my outputs also don't require underneath. We want a merger. Needs to be inside. I can go down here over and, or I can move everything that way. Haven't really moved this. So let's put him starting from I'm going to try to keep it compressed back towards this direction. And compact. You are going. I snuck that for half a meter. Yeah, let's put it. Just to confirm, 100 per minute does require 2 up. Got it there. Jockey that into place. Go. Now we need to put our assemblers down. Keeping the right-hand input lined up with constructor here. Actual spot. Yet. Merge. To the left. These guys are very slow. 4 per minute. And then we go back there. Box. Our uploader. And that's just barely fitting. Literally, I can't bring it back. And I think I cannot put the lift in. Lift and the depot are going to have to go in manually. And I always do that anyway. But this time, we don't even have a choice. Power. We've got 4 machines. We've got 4 corners. It's going to easy route. That means is that we now have 2 more connections we can put on the poles. I can always reach underneath and take out the nubs, but I really have no access to them. So we could take one of these down and up, so that's not a problem. The belts are in. Inputs are not run yet. These 2 guys need to come from stone. Double checking. Concrete is 20 per minute. They're taking a total of 40 per minute. We're actually taking the output of 1 constructor. Why was I making so much limestone then? Let me check something. So encased iron pipe. Says I'm using 150 concrete. Right. 150 concrete for 4 instances of this. And it's 150. I'm counting up 160 because I'm not downclocking things yet. So reality is I don't need very much concrete. So I will be sipping gently from concrete installations for this. Now, if I were going for the encased industrial beam recipe, the stock one, which uses steel beams, we would have to bring in a whole bunch of coal to make steel and a lot more concrete. And we could in this same footprint use the same amount of iron. Instead of producing 30, we could produce 45. So increased by 50% the output at the cost of taking over a lot more nodes and a lot more complexity. So I like this for its simplicity and the fact that it does turn out, well, the fact that it turns out what one uploader could upload, and we're going to be using 4 uploaders, or we're going to be throwing resources at the uploaders just so we can have a nice high burst, because I'm expecting the Mark IV pipes to be, Mark IV belts to be something where I use a lot of them in a big burst, and so we can do that. And if I don't need that much, I can always go reclaim stuff. The other inputs, okay, so we've got our iron input here. He needs to come in from the left toward the right, and here, so I'm going in like that. Wait a minute, how much iron does this need? Even with the ladder, I don't. Needs 100 iron ingots per minute. So each one of these need to be a Mark II. The question is, will this belt make that turn? Splitter. This way. Be a Mark III belt. And that just happens to work. I'm going to cut this down to a Mark II. That's acceptable. And this input goes back to the Mark I. I'm going to bring it in there. Splitter is going to have it come in right. This is the concrete, so we got 40s. This is all stuff. The area down here is so simple, I am going to just assume that it's correct. And we're going ahead and flooring in and then seal it. Says he, realizing that seal it and put flooring in, which is hard way. I do it from inside. I never know whether I've got the wall or down. It's the downside of this arrow sandwich. This is 2x iron icon. Test him. Going to test it in place. I think it's just going to print on here. To blueprint and it's here. So we're going to have a line of concrete coming at us from this direction. Half of it's going to go in there, and half of it's going to... I think I will put that in a little interstitial layer up high. It's going to have to be clear of this. So if we start with this, I'm going to make that a Mark. Only needs to be a Mark II. I'm going to test 2 of them. As part of this is the way that we're routing the stone or the concrete from over there. I'm going to hold off applying power until that routed. So we need to have a intermediate layer heading that way. I could reuse. Start from there. This is going to be the top of the sandwich. And a sandwich to wider stance to begin with so we can run belts properly, and we'll narrow it up. Work from this right end. Architecture. We're using that same button for 2 different. I came all the way up here. I don't need to be up and do anything here. Just need to have this come past here. So we're going to put it this line. Splitter. And actually, because we are not using up all of the concrete, I can use one belt here. But I'm going to use a Mark III belt to move concrete. If the capacity is important, would like to see the speed. Down here, as far as we can. And our is over there. We're going to keep coming up somewhere. is a little further over space than I would normally like. Okay, so that's concrete. So notice what we've got going here. All the concrete, as fast as we're making it, is going into this industrial container. Container can feed the uplink at whatever rate we want. As long as there's stuff in the container, it can sustain that rate. And as long as there's stuff in the container, we can sustain this rate coming out here. And the container is huge. Now, it would take a while to fill this container, but this is on a persistent server, which spends hours and hours and hours with nobody logged in, and I've set it up to not pause, because there's literally no downside. So now I need to put in the proper floor, and then I'll bring back the wall. Proper floor, start here. And I'm going to, well, I can do it from the outside. Works just fine. A wall. I like the way this little sandwich layer kind of closes everything off. Tidy. There are times when you want to show the world your belts. Then there are times where fly bottom. Now that is a kind of a weird place for us to be coming out. Looking at the whole thing. If I were designing this from scratch, I would put the box over here, kind of this way, and we center. So we have hooked all this up. Optimistically, we believe it's just going to work. I've put a walkway in the way so I can't reach my power setting. Power, and we get power, and now we see all of the iron up. Now, I did not put a hole in for the iron. Point. Let it be. And I did not route my outputs. No, I did. They're going to boxes up top. I don't have any outputs coming back down to the bottom. That's a oversight. Roll up there and maybe our outputs. We've got the box on the blueprint. I could put the depot here, or I can route everything down so I can have boxes down there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to rip the box out and we'll route the product away from here so that it'll be the responsibility of somebody at ground level to so my original plan was to put this at ground level, and I didn't. So, oops. So two things. Didn't put a hole over here. And I didn't allow for outputs. Could route my output down here and hole in there. Let's do that. Let's do I'm going to put here this hole out in the middle. Have another. It'll come out down here. Turn. Start with. We're going to make these Mark IIIs. Okay. It has to come. Over here. Low. Outputting. Four. Out here, I'm going normal stuff that I put, which is way overkill. Industrial bridge. Reason why I'm doing Mark III here is I want to empty the box up so I can. Speaking of, once this box is empty, I could probably just have grabbed them by hand. That. The rest of this can now. Well. One, and those guys need to mark one. I knew I was going soon. So that's all now Mark 1. Kind of a lot of hand edit. Most of it happened outside the Do the same thing over here. Start it off with do most of this. Put it in that direction. Center. Oh, why? This is not. So one thing I'm thinking is that at some point the server will be running long enough that we're going to have 4 industrial containers full of encased industrial beams. And if I need to tear these factories down, these pure iron or something else, I have a lot of buffer space to be able to put down a lot of encased industrial beam based things before we're worried about the fact that we're not actually. I think these are working just fine. Do a cross check, these are running at 96%. Sense because our your output isn't saturated. But we're definitely getting more input than we need. I guess it just hasn't hit 100% yet even. If it's been idle, sometimes it takes a while to ramp it back up. This guy's running at 100%. Guy's running 100%. I am good with that. Our final assemblies are happening as fast as they can. I am. This guy's clearly getting sources. Let's see, is this guy? The other two. Mr. Bean. Oh, and this guy's, I was watching rates, and this particular installation was running slow. I need to come back and check it. At 100% there. Sometimes I don't understand. We're merging. Output is 30 per minute. Possibly has slowed you down. Didn't slow down your partner. Or that doesn't. Is there a limit to how fast my awesome sink can stuff? Looks like this is coming in spaced out, and then it's pressing. It's like you built in here somewhere. Anyway, stuff up. And sinking iron pipe. In this case, our concrete's coming. So we again have a little skyway. Remember this subfloor. Send up to here. Actually, don't subfloor. So I have put holes in. That way, there. Let's see, in subfloor, oh, we need to put in a splitter there and. And we also edge. It's length. One belt's defeated. Have a Mark III belt bring concrete to us just so it gets to us faster. Got to put in the actual. See, I need. Right place. Same thing. That I can. Oh. See. Because I'm gonna do that. I was trying to get rid of a whole bunch of ingots earlier, and I power up the machine. Now a bunch of extra. We've got stuff on us that we're going to cycle it. stuff. Some food. This just needs to head out wherever we need to be. Best done from. Possibly best done with a subfloor. Round back. I'm going to be bringing it. I think I'll bring it up this way. Subfloor. That way. Built mark. Stop. Little by little, it's coming together. Same trick here. We're filling this as fast as we can. Are providing her as fast as it will take it, and we are providing supply. Tell my level of confidence by what I button up. And I think I didn't route the. Didn't. Correction. And same thing here. Power hooked up. Just move it. Did I stutter? I did not get this hook, so most of it. Well, that's 2 hours of recording session. Started fiddling around for an hour to try to work out what recipe I wanted to use. If I want to switch back to the recipe in stone and coal, or fiddling around. And now it's working. Just want to see my. This has. It's enough. Industrial containers. I'm gonna let that run for a bit before I put actually those can no. We have 3 Mercer spheres. Go find another Mercer sphere and build some more actuators. We'll put 3. That'll do. There. And these are quite as long as the rates. I think I've been noticing that I can bring them in one at the other. That works. That does not. I'm pretty sure I have another Mercer sphere somewhere. Correction, I know I have a Mercer sphere. Because while I have done a bunch of these, So what are we going to do while that's cooking? Well, I have been putting off. Dude, you can't be serious. I need to climb through. Maybe I should put my laptop somewhere else. I'll think about it. Let's head back and actually open up oil processing because I know I've picked up 50 motors. I've got more motors being made. I didn't want to use all of my available motors to open up oil processing. I want to have some more in a box. It's in a assembler. This is so much faster. Going back and forth. So that assembler down there is the one where I was making motors by manually inserting rotors. Our limitation there. So we're not making rotors down here. This is really just a very, very temporary factory. And we don't go. Yeah, let's go pick up our. Add it. Enough rotor? Yeah, I have some, but not. Let's grab another batch of rotor. Start another coming, just in case we grab the up in some road, and that'll make takes a while, but it'll make it. Processing, oil processing.
Milestone reached. Crude oil can now be extracted and refined to produce various industrially beneficial parts. The byproducts of these processes will require careful management, but a capable pioneer such as yourself surely understands that. To improve efficiency, pipelines can now be optimized with valves to limit and balance their throughput. These were initially left out because Fixit did not want to overwhelm pioneers with complex pipeline management, but they have since been re-added after my impassioned defense of your capabilities.
So we now have valves, oil extractors, refiners. So now is the time for oil. Ooh. And logistics. So logistics Mark IV, we need to have rubber on hand. Set up our oil plant. Petroleum power, our motors, and plastics and rubber. So I seem to remember my primary oil processing unit produced rubber and plastic as its primary outputs. And secondarily, it produced fuel. So go that direction. I want to go logistics Mark IV first. Either way we do it, we need to build an oil area. Fluid packaging opens up a bunch of interesting ideas. There are, well, there were. I don't know if these recipes still work this way, but there were some loops where you had a factory that took in a fluid and a solid, find them, put out a solid and a fluid. But one of those was, either we were packaging and unpackaging water. I'd have to look back at my notes, and that would only tell me what's going on. Okay. So Our really fancy petroleum processing is going to have to wait until after we get fluid packaging so I can look at the recipes. Power is where we're going, but we're not get there yet. We're going to need logistics Mark IV. When we get to tier 6, this is going to open up the manufacturing of goods that require 4 inputs as well as this. These two are our space elevators. Trains, signaling, gotta go together. When we're building up to make trains, we will be also thinking in terms of what's up. Pipeline Mark II. There are some interesting effects that happen when you start running Mark II pipelines at their exact rated outputs, so we'll always be designing our factories around. Not quite. And expanding the blueprint machine 5x5. Woo! Our next thing is logistics Mark IV. But to get there, we need to build Bill. I'm going to cut this recording. Maybe I will start doing 1 hour satisfactory recordings instead of 4 hours satisfactory. And go ponder my recipes and work out where we're going from here. And I will keep that view there to put the other dimensional depot uploader in place until I've got it done. But I'll have that done before we'll see you in the next recording, where we will start building a oil processing area. Pump some oil into it.